Okay, so I pulled you guys because you guys had trouble with the scientific argument on the test, or the checkpoint thing that we just took. So we're gonna do this so that next time it'll go a little bit smoother. Okay, so you need this one, and this one, and then you need one of each color. Yellow, green, and blue. Okay. So what is a scientific argument? What is it supposed to do?
Well, I would say it's supposed to connect ideas maybe, and an argument. It's give an argument that is scientific.
But,
the name says.
So it answers what?
Answers why is the rainforest ecosystem growing and thriving.
Yeah, so it's just kind of an explanation for a question. So if you get a question, you can use a scientific argument to answer the question. What does a scientific argument start with? Every time, it's the first thing.
The claim.
The claim. Yeah, so it starts with the claim. Then what do you need after the claim?
Your evidence.
Evidence, yep.
And reason why.
And then what comes, so if you have evidence one, what comes with evidence one?
Reason.
Reason one, yep. Then what comes after reason one?
This is important because. Evidence.
That's your reason, yep. Evidence two, then what? Reason two. And then how do you wrap it up? With what? With a conclusion, yeah. So you can't have a piece of evidence without a reasoning, right? Okay, so I want you to take your yellow and I want you to find the claim and highlight it.
In front of everybody.
Okay, Jonah, what did you highlight?
The ecosystem is not growing and thriving in the ecosystem.
I know, I mistyped it.
There are not enough nutrients in the soil.
Yeah, so that's our claim. What is going to follow our claim, immediately after the claim?
Evidence. So we would do.
So now, with your blue one, got it? I want you to find just the first one. So find your first piece of evidence and highlight that in blue. And how do you know that it's a piece of evidence?
Because it says that evidence shows.
Yeah, and it usually has
Are we supposed to include the word the evidence?
Yeah. And usually it has numbers in it or some sort of data so that you know that it's evidence. So I know what did you highlight?
The evidence shows that the number of trees went from 600 to 200 within the last year, but the sunlight, rain, and carbon dioxide levels have stayed nearly the same.
Yeah. So we have a piece of evidence, but now we need to tell the reader why that matters, right? So that's where what comes in?
The reasoning.
Reasoning. So with pink, find your reasoning behind. Yep. So when we write these, the reasoning usually starts with this matters because, or this is important because, or this tells us that.
These are the questions I'm seeing.
Okay. So we have our claim, evidence one, reasoning one. Marianne, what's the reasoning one say?
This matters because plants need nutrients, carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to grow and thrive, and this proves they are not getting enough nutrients.
This matters because plants need nutrients, carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to grow and thrive. This proves that they are not getting enough nutrients. And the reason we said that is because it tells us that that they are getting the same amount of sunlight, the same amount of rain, and the same amount of carbon dioxide. So the only thing that's left is the nutrients. Okay? Then comes another piece of what?
No, evidence.
Another piece of evidence. So highlight that in blue again. Yep. And we know this part is evidence because it starts with the data shows.
Oh, I thought it was only the evidence shows.
Mm-mm. Because data can be evidence. Or like, we could say like, the book tells me, or the chart tells me, the graph tells me. Okay, Jonah, what's our second piece of evidence?
Is it the data also shows that there are only 600 decomposers in the ecosystem compared to 1,000 decomposers that were in the ecosystem last year?
Okay. Have our evidence two. What do we need? For reasoning two. So, and this one starts with this matters because this is explaining to us why we added this evidence in. Because you don't want to just put evidence and then not explain it, because then your reader will be like,
That makes sense.
yeah, like what are we even talking about?
See you soon then, if not tomorrow.
So this reasoning says this matters because decomposers break down dead organisms and put nutrients into the soil for the plants to grow. So there are not enough So if there are not enough decomposers, the soil will not get the nutrients it needs. When you guys are writing or if you ever have to write something in reading, do you usually have an introduction?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our
Is that basically a claim?
yep, it's introducing us to what we're going to be talking about. Do you usually have to put some evidence or like some stuff in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you do claim, evidence, reasoning in a lot of different classes. So what does every piece of writing have to end with? Conclusion. Green. Green is our conclusion. This shows that. In the spell you
Exosystem?
Exosystem.
Yeah.
So this says, this shows us that the ecosystem is not growing and thriving because of the lack of nutrients in the soil. Does that kind of wrap it up?
Yeah.
Does it kind of tie back up to our claim?
Because it exactly says that the ecosystem is not growing and thriving because of the lack of nutrients in the soil. That means the same thing as the ecosystem is not growing and thriving. The plants are growing and thriving in the ecosystem because there is not enough nutrients.
Good job. Okay, so now we're just gonna, at the empty blank part of the bottom of the paper, we're gonna write down all the things that a scientific reasoning has. So what does it start with? You can do it all in one color, or you can do it like how we were doing it with the different colors. So step one is your claim. Step two is evidence one. Then comes what? Reason one, good job. Then we repeat and do yep, evidence two. Yep, evidence two, then reasoning two, right? And then you finally end with what?
Conclusion.
Conclusion. Wraps it all up. job. Okay, so every time in science or in anything, if you're writing an argument, you need a claim, evidence, and you need to back up your evidence with a reasoning. Every time. You can't have reasoning without evidence first, right? Okay, so now on these pieces of paper, there's, you all have different ones. And it's scientific arguments that are all, I think they might all be mixed. Kind of shuffle them so that you know that they're a little mixed up. Okay, I want you to try to put them in order.
It's like you have to put the order that this is.
So find it, they all have a question in it too, so your question goes up top. Then you're finding your claim, evidence 1, reasoning 1, evidence 2, reasoning 2. It might be kind of hard to figure out which one's evidence 1 and which one's evidence 2.
Now I know what this is. It's about like all of this.
Well, the only on the one you put, it says the data also shows. So I think
Yep.
that's
So that's probably going to be what, your evidence 1 or your evidence 2?
2.
2, yeah. I don't know if they all have the it also shows or not, but if you do have that, that's a good clue. So good job, Jonah.
this doesn't talk about rainy days. So. I think it just talks about carbon dioxide.
You think you got it?
This matters because, and then this.
Okay, Ina, should we check yours? Okay, I want you guys to tell me if you hear anything that you think is a little bit wrong. Why isn't cordgrass growing and thriving? That's our question, right? Tell me if this is the claim. The cordgrass is not growing and thriving in our ecosystem because there is not enough rain or water in the ecosystem. Is that our claim?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. Okay, now she starts with this matters because. Do you see where? So, do you think we should start with the evidence shows instead of?
Yeah.
Okay. The evidence shows that the amount of sunny days, the levels of carbon dioxide, and the amount of decomposers is the same between both ecosystems. This matters because it proves that the plants are getting enough sunlight, carbon dioxide, and nutrients to grow and thrive. Those two go together? Okay. Then it says this matters again. Do we need to put something before the this matters?
Yes.
Yes. We need the evidence shows that the amount of rainy days in the ecosystem is 16 compared to the healthy ecosystem, which had 24 rainy days. This matters because plants need water, sunlight, carbon dioxide, and nutrients to grow and thrive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In conclusion, the data and evidence shows that the cordgrass is not growing and thriving due to the lack of water or rain in the ecosystem. Does that make sense? Is that our conclusion? Does it wrap it up?
Yeah.
Does it tie back to the claim?
Yeah.
Good job, Ina. All right, Jonah, you next. Why aren't the cheetahs growing and thriving? Is that our question?
Yep.
The cheetahs aren't growing and thriving in the ecosystem because they're not getting enough nutrients.
Yes.
Claim? The chart shows that the number of decomposers in this ecosystem is 400, and in a healthy ecosystem there are 650. Is that a piece of evidence?
Yes.
Yep, so we know that goes there. This is important because I know that zebras rely on plants to eat and cheetahs rely on the zebras for food. So if the zebras are not getting what they need to grow and thrive, it will impact the cheetahs. I'm going to put this one to the side, okay? The data also shows that there were 300 plants in this ecosystem, and in a healthy ecosystem there are 200. So in this first explanation, I think that explains the plants in the ecosystem, right? So I think that part's mixed up. Okay, pause a second. Okay. So the next part that you have is this matters because decomposers put nutrients in the soil to help plants grow. I think that one goes with the 400 and 650. Does that make sense? Yeah, so we have to make sure they tie together. In conclusion, you can see that the cheetahs aren't growing and thriving because they're not getting enough nutrients. Conclusion? Does it wrap it up? Good job. Okay, I'm going to do this one kind of quick so we can go back in there. Oh, okay. Let's see if this one's in the right order just based off of the first couple words in the thing, okay? Why aren't the snakes growing and thriving? Question? Question. The chart shows, is that our claim? Nope. Okay.
That's an evidence.
The snakes aren't growing and thriving. Is that our claim?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it answers our question. Okay. The chart shows.
That's an evidence.
Evidence? Good job. This matters because. So if we have a piece of evidence, we need a reason, right? And our reasons usually start with this matters because, this is important because.
Yeah.
Okay. The data also shows.
That's another piece of evidence.
Another piece of evidence. This matters because.
Yes.
Evidence. As you can see, this is why. Is that our conclusion? Does it wrap it up?
Yeah, that's a conclusion.
Good job, Junior Ann. Okay, so what are the 6 things that are in a scientific argument? 1. Claim. 2.
Evidence 1.
3.
Reason 1.
4.
Evidence 2.
5.
Reason 2.
Reason 2. 6.
Conclusion.
Okay, good job. So next time we write about this, or you're writing anything for any class, just try to remember that there's usually 6 things that go into it. Good job.